Good afternoon, sunshines. It's Callie Carroll coming at you not from chemo. I'm not at chemo right now. You're thinking, but Cal, chemo starts today. You were at the hospital all morning. You were getting blood work done last week. You were getting poked, not you, your son, right? And getting his Emla cream on and putting, yep, that's where we're supposed to be. As you guys jump on, say good morning, sunshine, whatever time it is, whenever you're watching, from wherever you're watching, or hashtag GMS, which stands for good morning, sunshine. Then share anything that you're grateful for. I'm grateful. Can I say that? I'm grateful that I'm not in charge. That is not my sort of statement because boy, do I like having control as the majority of us. Maybe not the majority of us, but I feel like that. Like a lot of us are control freaks. And that seems like a little bit of a stretch to say I'm grateful. But I am grateful today that I can acknowledge the conversation that we're about to have regarding control. So let's just go ahead and do that. Anything you're grateful for. Maybe it's a pencil. Maybe it's the color yellow. Maybe it's apples. Something that you're like, thank you. Wow, if I didn't have this, life wouldn't be as grand. I really love having this thing with me. All right, let's talk about your plans. Let's just talk about this, and then I'll tell you why I'm sitting here, not there. Okay, first of all, it's great to have a plan. Right? It's great to, of course, we want to have a vision of what we want to create in our life. We want to have a plan of action of what's coming next for us. You might see out the next 8 hours. What's my plan for the day? You might see it out the next week. What are my weekend plans next weekend? What are my 4th of July plans? You might see out the next year, marriage, baby, new grade of school, new job, maybe the next 5 years. You're like, this is my plan. I want to start here and I'm going to work my way here. The next 10 years, I'm going to be empty nesting. I want to travel here, all the things. Have a plan. Spend some time with yourself thinking about what do I really want today to look like? And what do I want the next 10 years to look like? And then make a plan about it. But also acknowledge that you're not the boss. And I hate that because I'm like, I am the boss. I've told you guys this multiple times. This is why I have not worked for somebody since I was 23, 22, right? I love being my own boss, but I still acknowledge I'm not the boss. He is. He's in charge. And even though we might have a plan of action of what things are going to look like the next 8 hours, 1 year, 10 years, sometimes that's not how it's going to look. And that's okay. And I'll give you guys a couple examples and how I like to shift this, because sometimes when your plans are derailed, you get pissed, you get frustrated, you get agitated, you get irritated, you get upset, you get sad. You just get simply annoyed. Like, why aren't things going the way I want them to go? I was supposed to do X, Y, and Z with my life. And then I was going to look like this at a certain point, and that's not what's happening. How do we get through that? Right. Okay. So for example, today, it's supposed to be Whit and John's 51st round of chemotherapy. We're almost at a year. I'll be talking more about that in a couple days for this diagnosis. That wasn't in our plan. That was right now. I was supposed to be building my business. I was supposed to be at Disney vacation with my kids on an all-paid, trip. I was supposed to be building my business, my book at a certain level, whatever. All these that was supposed to be my plan, right? But God, He had a different plan for us, and from that. It's hard while you're in it, but from that, I'm learning and acknowledging that He has new things for me to experience and new directions for me to go in order to become my greatest self, as well as the situation for my family. Okay, now minor thing today, 51st infusion, right? No problem. We've got 4 or 5 more months of treatment. We go in today and I'm like, it's going to be a good day. Whit and John only cries a little bit on the way there. We get there. He cries a little bit, but then he's going through. He wants to do the elevators. He's all good. He's talking to the front staff. He goes in, probably had his best access, where they go in and they do this push pin that looks like it has oh, that was wrong finger, like a hook. So they go into this, right? He does this best one. He cries, but only for maybe a minute. She wraps it up. It's good. Our medication's there. We're having fun. Fun, whatever. He gets his first anti-nausea medication. They start doing his second one, which takes an hour. It's called Amend, so that he's not sick as much for that next 10 days. So he's getting his medication, and we're sitting, we're doing good. And then doctor and nurse walk in. Right? I don't see doctor and nurse at the same time ever. We love them both, right? So they walk in, like, hey guys, cool. They're just getting this done today. We're gonna have both of talk to everybody all at the same time. That's great. And they come and like, All right, let's just talk about this chemo. We saw the message you sent about his ear. Like, let's go ahead and take a look at his ear, right? Long story short, you guys, they look at our puppy, Finley, scratched, nipped, I'm not sure what, Witten's ear. Not a big deal for you, me, Joni, Casey, all the other people. Like, right, not a big deal. It's just a little nip, whatever, right? But for a baby who's going through now 16 months of chemotherapy, his ANC counts drop. Like, and I know there's a lot of you who have been through chemo. You know people who've been through chemo. Different chemos affect you differently. So his first two chemotherapies, maybe your ANC, which maybe yours is between 2,000 and 4,000, 2,500, let's just say, right? His would drop down to 1,800, maybe 1,200 every once in a while. But with this new, very aggressive form of chemotherapy, his numbers drop down to 10 or 0. Like, they go down to nothing. Even with only 2 days of chemo, it still drops down to nothing. And what that means is that his body has not a great opportunity to fight any sort of infection, to fight a cold, to fight just a little sniffle, to fight an eye infection. What is that called? Pink eye, the flu you guys saw when he had that norovirus or rotavirus or whatever the hell he had, where her house smelled so bad for a long time. And maybe a scratch. Just a scratch, right? Just a rash, little things that can go on with his being, his body. So with that, they're looking at him and he has this ear, right? He's also has his face is breaking out with this new thing where we can try something called clindamycin to try to help out with that. He even has a little bit of like another rash going on. So they're checking him out. And like, what would happen is if his numbers drop and he can't fight this because his numbers drop, then now you're in the hospital getting IV antibiotics for, maybe a week. And he's like going like this. He's like back and forth. Should we do it? Not do it? Like, what do you? And I was like, you know what? God's plan, different plan, right? We're ready. We've been prepping for chemo. We have this all scheduled out. We have this scheduled out for our 4th of July party. So it's going to be not as neutropenic there. We have it scheduled out for our camping vacation where we're going to take my daughter and her friends from college. We've got it all scheduled out for the next 4 or 5 months of our lives. But guess what? We have a plan, but God's like, I'll tell you what, we have a different plan here. So, at first, I'm like, shit, we've got to move a lot of things. We're going to have to adopt a lot of things. How are we going to do this? Where's my son going to go? Are we still going to have that party? What about all the people that are coming out to visit us? How do I work with that? What about the camping trip? So I'm going through these different things. But at the same time, you guys, here's what I'm acknowledging. And I have no choice but to acknowledge this over the last year, all the different things that have happened to us, right? Is that this is happening for a reason. And I might not understand it today, but I know that I get to choose to make the best of it today. Right? So let me say that again. Whatever you have going on, you might not understand why it's happening to you today, but you have the choice to make the best of it today. So here's our reactions, you guys. Within a couple minutes, John's like, you know what? I'm going out of town. I got a lot of stuff to take care of. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna take care of that. I'm like, that's perfect. We're gonna make this the best week ever. We got a bonus play week because Witten feels freaking phenomenal. Like, it's just a little external things on him, right? So we're gonna try to take care of the face, try to take care of that, try to take care of the rashes. And we're going to freaking play our little hearts out. We can have play dates. We can do all the things. His numbers look great. And then we're just going to bob and weave over the next 3 or 4 months because we don't know when it's going to be postponed again. And that's going to be fine. And maybe who knows? Like, who knows why this is? Maybe there was going to be a really bad car accident on the way home today or tomorrow. Maybe it means that it's going to put us on the right week for something else to occur for us. We don't know, but it's not for ours to know. It's just for ours to trust. So if you have something big going on in your world where you're like, why the detour? Why does it keep changing? Why does it keep shifting on me? And I know, I get it. It's frustrating. It's hard. It can be completely toxic and grieving. There can be huge detours and small detours. And no matter what, change is difficult, but we get to choose how long we want to be pissed off about it, or we get to choose what our reaction is. Choose to find a way to make it the best with what we've got right now and start moving that direction. Because you can make your own plan, you guys, but God has his, right? So everything happens for a reason, my Joni dear. You guys, have you ever had your plans derailed? I just am curious if anybody wants to share. I love when you guys share on here. Have your plans ever been derailed as small as I left 5 minutes late to work today, and I was late, and maybe you avoided accident. My father-in-law was just telling me how he was supposed to take this flight, but his dad wanted him to take a different flight. So he went over and that flight went down and there were no survivors. Have you ever had a plan derailed And now on the other side, you can see how it may have benefited you. Maybe problems lost or success found, right? Like something you didn't have to encounter, or a new success happening, or whatever that is. All right. We're going to go adventure our faces off for 6.5 more days until we start chemotherapy round number 51, LCH Destroyer Day, next Monday, not this Monday. Ta-da! Guys, good morning, sunshines. I love your faces. Perspective reveals miracles.